Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Friday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. It's been a few minutes since we last had an episode, and I'm so glad that you're listening to this and hopefully enjoying it. I ran into some weird technical issues that I don't need to get into all the details of it, but suffice to say, I am trying my best to work through that and still provide a quality episode of Azeroth United to the people. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you a show, one that you're going to enjoy, hopefully. And that's the way it works. So a lot has happened in the last week in WoW. So some of this might seem a little late because I was going to do this episode in the middle of the week instead of at the end of the week. But regardless, we're going to be talking about the new Hearthsteel currency. We're going to be talking about microtransactions in WoW and Blizzard's history of microtransactions, good or bad. It is what it is. And yeah, we've got some midnight news that we're going to go over and some other things. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy, and take it easy because Azeroth United is casual and we're here to have a good time. So before I get into any of the news, I'll do a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in World of Warcraft. Legion Remix was great. I did. So the arms were 740, 219% versatility, which is great because I can run around and I'm obliterating stuff so fast. So that feels really good. The thing with Remix, I feel like, is once you get to a certain point, there's really no need for you to keep building more and more power. I can pretty much do everything I want right now. If I want to go solo Mythic Plus at a high level, or if I want to be able to solo, say, Mythic Raid, then I need to keep grinding out more versatility. But just getting the bronze to be able to buy all the cosmetics, I feel like I'm done gearing that character. I still need to work on the Death Knight and get her geared up as well. She's only 640 or something. It feels so different than Miss Pandaria, and maybe it's going to be different when we get into in Taurus next week, and it'll be a little bit off. The raid's going to be a little bit tougher, I think, and some of the fights are going to be wacky in that one. But overall, I'd say once you get to about 200% verse, you're pretty much done. You don't need anything more. Anything more is just gravy on top of what you've already got. So that's good. The other thing that I find really interesting about the current state of Remix is that people are already getting to the point where they're starting to talk about, well, what happens if I transfer off? I watched a YouTube video where somebody actually did it on their stream where they transferred a character off of Remix. And I'm wondering if people are like, if they want to go back to the War Within with this character to go do stuff or to try and get them set up. I'm not really sure what the goal is there. So, I do understand that wanting to be like, all right, I'm done. I got everything I need from here. I want to go play this character. Sure. Go do some Mythic Plus, run the raid, Manaforge Omega, do all that stuff. Great. Go for it. But for me, I made characters that I don't really care about. I have so many alts already. I don't need to go and do a bunch of stuff on this character. I guess, I don't know. It's just my play style. So anyway, it's fine. I think Remix is good. I think it's going to run its course and everyone will be happy. I've heard a lot of people talking about what's the next Remix, or do we have to do any more of these? Can this be the last one? And I think people are frustrated because the last time we did a Remix, it was at the end of season 3, the beginning of season 4 in Dragonflight. And so season 4 is kind of a nothing season anyway. You're just repeating the same raids over again. And really, it's not getting you a whole bunch. This is still a live season. We still have people trying to get cutting edge or ahead of the curve. So I don't know. It does feel a little weird that Blizzard kind of ripped out these raid teams by having people go play Remix. I think it's cool. The remix mode is fun. I just find it interesting that Blizzard has kind of, I don't know. It's like they gave up on the rest of season 3. If season 3 is going to be a 6-month season, I think you need to skip remix and just say, all right, we're gonna, but if we're gonna have a 9-month season 3, right, or even a 3-month season 4 at the end for some reason, then I get it, and let's have something that people can go do. That makes sense, but the way it stands right now, it just feels a little odd. So, I'm having fun with remix because I wasn't really doing anything in the War Within. I was just running around doing delves, doing world quests, doing the occasional raid finder. That's really it. I haven't even been doing a whole bunch of keystones because I don't have that energy for that right now. So, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what ends up happening. So will we get Shadowlands remix, or like I talked about a couple weeks ago, the classic trilogy remix? Maybe, but maybe not. I guess we'll see. I did want to do a forum post of the week, and this is something that I saw come up on Icy Veins, but I also watched it on YouTube. So if you know Rex Troy, he's a very famous solo player. Like he'll go solo current tier bosses. He's a paladin, and he will figure out the correct consumables and the correct strategies to go and solo raid bosses himself as current content, right? This isn't like, oh, I'm soloing the jailer from Shadowlands. No, we're talking actual current content raid bosses. He's going and soloing. He did a video which I found fascinating, especially given the very vanilla WoW-esque vibe of it. It's 40 paladins versus 40 evokers, right? Back in the day, there was a 40 paladins versus 40 shaman video that somebody did back in actual vanilla, where it was Horde versus Alliance, because you couldn't have one on the other side. So yeah, he did a 40 paladins versus 40 evokers. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. When you open up, right? So paladins obviously have melee classes, whether you're healing, tanking, or retribution. They're all basically melee classes. And the evokers are a mid-range caster class. So yeah, it was funny because watching the paladins all charge in, the evokers all did their breaths, and it was really cool. I would definitely go check it out. I'll put the link to it in the show notes. The paladins won 2 out of 3. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But in the first one, people were rezzing and running back, and then they realized, no, you can't do that. It's one death and then you're out. So, but anyway, it was really cool. I had a good time with it. So, enjoyed that. Anyway, if you want to check that out, 40 paladins versus 40 evokers, go see that on the YouTubes. There's also a link to it on Icy Veins if you want to check that out. If you still go to Icy Veins. So that's the forum post of the week. I still don't have a bumper for that one, but I'll work on it. Somebody asked me on the Discord server the other day, and you can get to our Discord server by going to AzerothUnitedPod.com. Somebody asked me on the Discord server, I think it might have been Raven, who's the Scottish guy in the bumpers that I do? It's time for the news or main topic of the week or whatever. And I was a little embarrassed because it's literally just text to speech. It's AI text to speech. Because what my original goal was, I was going to do that just as an interim solution. And then I was like, all right, I'll hire somebody off of like Fiverr or whatever to do the voiceover work, all the bumpers, just 30 seconds of vocals, pay you however much money that is. And I never did it. I just never got around to it. And so now that we're at this point, and I've been wanting to create a bumper for the forum post of the week and a couple of other things, it's like, all right, I think it's time. I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to do that. It's just, it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. So yeah, anyway, I will have a bumper here in hopefully within the next month or so. I'll try and get all that stuff done over the winter. But anyway, that's it for that's it for the forum post of the week. Let's move on to the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so like I said, I was going to do this episode at the beginning or the middle of week last week, and here we are now. So let's we're going to go over everything, and we can pretend like this is current content, and I'm just going to give my take on what's going on in the news, and then we'll get into our main topic of the week, which is this whole microtransaction thing. But starting off with, in the War Within, we've got the Break the Meta event going on. This is sponsored by Raider.io, and basically it's going to be classes and specs that have a lesser representation in top Mythic Plus keys. And so it's who can do this with the air quote non-ideal or meta comp. So that's going to be DPS classes. You have Affliction Warlock, Arms Warrior, Assassination Rogue, Augmentation Evoker, Dev Evoker, Enhancement Shaman, Feral Druid, Fire Mage, Frost Mage, Outlaw Rogue, Shadow Priest, Survival Hunter, Unholy DK, and Windwalker Monk. Those are your DPS classes and specs. Your healers, Discipline Priest, Holy Paladin, Holy Priest, Mistweaver Monk, and Prez Evoker. No Druids, no Shamans. And finally, the tanks are Blood DKs, Brewmaster Monk, Guardian Druid, and Vengeance Demon Hunter. It's weird to see Vengeance in here because usually Vengeance is one of the top tanks, but that's how it goes. It's a scale. It's constantly moving, and one class will be on top, and then the next, and the next. It's like that quote from Game of Thrones: "It's the wheel, and everybody's part of the wheel, and eventually somebody's on top, but somebody else is that. Later on, you'll be at the bottom." So it's just I can't think of the quote right now, but I think it was Daenerys that said that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'll find the quote and and then I'll be like, oh, I should have said that. But the dates for the event are going to be November 18th through the 25th in the North America region, November 19th through the 26th in Europe, and 20 to 27 in Asia. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up on Raider.io, and their prizes, there's they're not giving out, it's not like a money prize. You can get stuff. I think there's a toy that you can get or something. It's cool. It's just a fun event to be part of. And if you are interested in doing this sort of thing, see if you can find a group and get in on that. So so check out the Break the Meta events on Raider.io. A lot of people like to dog on Raider.io because they ruined the game with their score. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I do think that they try really hard to do a lot of things for the game and for people. In a lot of ways, I'd say I like Raider.io better than I like Wowhead or Warcraft logs. So, Wowhead's one thing that I really like is that they have a really well-kept database of Warcraft. Whether it's classic or modern or whatever it is. Aside from that, like their class guides and all that stuff, it's really frustrating. So anyway, I'm not here to dog on Wowhead. I do like Wowhead, and I'm happy. And some of their guides are good. Some of them aren't. All right. Moving on. There's a new Twitch drop that is available. It's currently available. It launched on November 11th. This is the Violet Sweatsuit Transmog. So you'll get the full sweatsuit appearance transmog thing. So what you need to do is you need to watch 4 hours of Twitch streaming of World of Warcraft streamers. So watch anyone who's streaming WoW for 4 hours, and then you'll get the item. You have to link your Battle.net account to your Twitch account. So if you haven't done that, you need to make sure you do that before you start watching your 4 hours. If you don't have a Twitch account, obviously you need to create a Twitch account first and then link your Battle.net account to it. It's not hard to do. Blizzard does give some instructions on how to do it. So I'll put those in the show notes as always. But check that out. It looks, it's just another sweatsuit like the other ones. It's just purple. So if you like sweatsuits, which I do, I think they're cool. You get this free transmog and you help out some streamers. I always suggest, and you don't have to, but I always suggest that you find a streamer who has a maybe smaller audience. Maybe they have a handful of people watching, or maybe they have nobody watching. Get on there and just watch them, and it's okay. And you don't need to be awkward about it. You don't need to get on there and in chat right away go, wow, nobody else here. Type. This is awkward. You don't need to do that. You can just sit and watch them. And if a streamer wants to interact with you as part of the stream, they'll do it. And if they don't, if they want to just do their stream and have you watch them, that's fine too. Some of these people are really interesting, but they're also bad at human being interactions. So sometimes it's cool to watch a streamer, but they don't always do a good job of interacting with the audience. So, and it's a skill. It's something you have to learn and get used to over time. You think Zaryu just started off all cool and casual with everybody? No, he was awkward at first, and he slowly got better at it. And now he's really good. So it's just a matter of practice and patience and having the right people in your chat. Honestly, that's a big part of it. So anyway, get your Violet swimsuit, sweatsuit. It's going to be available. It's available now. So you can go, I think it's 30 days. And there you go. All right. Legion Remix time. So when Blizzard launched Remix, there was a lot of confusion over, well, what exactly are we going to be able to get? Like, what are our rewards? And Blizzard was like, yeah, you'll get rewards. And people were like, whoa. But Blizzard, we want to know exactly what we're going to be able to get, because there's a lot of transmog in Legion. And we want to know, are we going to be able to get the Mage Tower appearances, the PvP appearances, and all these things? And Blizzard finally came out and said, okay, no, you won't be able to get those, but you'll be able to get all your main ones, all your Class Order Hall appearances, and all these things, and including the hidden artifact appearances, which you could not get as of last week. So Blizzard finally added it in. This was last week on November 7th. They added a hotfix to include the hidden artifact appearances and the class mounts, because there were a few classes that could not actually do their class mounts. One I know specifically was Warlocks. You literally had to have trade good items that you were either going to get yourself, which you can't in Remix, or buy from the auction house, which you can't in Remix. So that was a little awkward. But aside from that, little snafu, I think people have been pretty happy with the artifact appearances that are available. It's just, it's a little weird, because the thing with the hidden artifact appearances is they're hidden. So you can't always tell exactly if it's in the game or not. And so I guess they weren't. And so now they are. So go get your hidden artifact appearances. They're really cool if you like that sort of thing. For me, one of the biggest things in Remix, or just in Legion in general, is that not all of the artifact weapons were cool, right? So some of them had a few cool appearances. Like, I love playing a warrior. Warrior is probably one of my favorite classes in the game for the last few expansions. It has been anyway. And the problem is that all three warrior artifact appearances or artifact weapons are kind of ugly. They're like just big, beefy, oh, you have big sword. And that's not the type of transmog I like to do in WoW, generally speaking. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but some of the classes have really good ones. I might level up a mage just so I can have the cool mage appearances. The shaman appearances are really good. I might level up a shaman. I'm probably going to level up a couple of characters just to get the artifact appearances and the mounts, the fiery or fell version of the class order hall mounts. Those will be really cool. So anyway, yeah, so you'll be able to get your hidden artifact appearances and your class mounts in Remix now. So congratulations, all you people who wanted that and weren't able to get it. Now you can get it. All right, let's move on to the Midnight Alpha, which is done. Midnight Alpha is over. But the Midnight Beta, so Alpha is dead, long live the Beta. Midnight Beta started on November 11th, and I was able to get on there, and it's been laggy. Let's just call it what it is. And I know that there's the whole conversation of, well, it's a beta. What do you expect? Yeah, I expect it to work a little bit better than this. And what I'm saying is they need to take this opportunity to fix it, because you can't launch the game like this. So I'm glad that we're doing this on beta, because yeah, it's not playable. Or at least it wasn't a couple days ago. I did try it a little bit earlier today, and I mean, I'm able to do stuff, but I'm still getting some weird lag. Silver Moon looks amazing. If you haven't gotten onto the beta yet, Silver Moon looks amazing. Eversong Woods looks amazing. I have not gotten to any of the other zones yet, but so far what I've seen looks fantastic. some of the things that I really wanted to check out don't work yet, like the damage meter or the new transmog aren't working. The new combat alert system that they've put in, that's basically a replacement for DBM, that one's not really working. And the combat notifications, like the weak aura replacement to show you what spells are available, that is working, but it's bad. So I'll give it some time. I want to see what Blizzard is able to come up with. I don't want to inundate them with a bunch of feedback right now because everybody is doing that, but I want to give it a week or two, get on there and see what is this behavior. Is it still really bad? Because if it is, they need to fix it. Now there is kind of a conversation about the beta and whether or not there's even going to be any meaningful change now that we're in beta. I don't know. I really don't know. I think that we're on a train that's moving and it's not really, there's no way to stop it. So if you can't fix it before it gets in the station, it's going to have to be hot fixed or in a .5 or .7. I think that's what we're going to end up with, folks. I think we're going to end up with things just don't work right in the beginning, and we have to just deal with it and accept it and move on. And hopefully Blizzard can fix this in the next iteration. So, and unfortunately, that's just software development. When you are coding something, you have to make those decisions constantly. Can we make release on this? No? Okay, well, we'll push it out to the next patch. That's what you have to do. And I think that's what we're going to end up with some of these things. I think we will get some rudimentary functionality in things like the damage meter and the boss, the DBM replacement. I think we'll get some basic functionality, but it's not going to be what everybody really wants it to be. And they're going to have to go back and iterate on it again. And then we'll eventually, hopefully, get exactly what we want. I think part of the problem is we don't actually know what we need. We might know what we want, and that's great, but we don't really know what we need because we don't know how these fights are going to go. We don't know how the combat is going to feel once everybody's in there and we're all doing the same thing with no add-ons, right? We only have the basic functionality. How is it going to feel? Once we've been able to determine that and ascertain what that's going to be, then we can start making those complaints. But until then, I think it's going to be really tough because we don't know what we need. And so I can go on there and say, well, I can't do this without Omni CD, and I can't do this without weak auras, and I can't do this without Plater, and I can't do this without details. I can say that, but is it true? I don't know. Maybe it's not true. Maybe I don't need a damage meter. Maybe I can just go out there and hit stuff and have fun. Maybe that's a possibility. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So, speaking of which, so this was something that, Ian Haskostas has been making the rounds, and it really bumps me out that I missed all of this last week because I really wanted to talk about these things. So, there were a few interviews that he gave. He had a meeting with DBM and bigwigs, both, to kind of say, all right, please don't give up your add-on for midnight. We don't need that bad press right now. So please, let's talk about what we're going to be able to do. And then he also he jumped on Reddit and he's been giving some responses. So suffice it to say, I'm just going to summarize this really briefly by saying that their goal is to make it so that combat add-ons cannot do anything that the base game cannot do, or cannot add any functionality that the base game doesn't already add. If you have a basic looking built-in basic combat system in the game, right? Replacement for details and for DBM and for weak auras and all of these add-ons that you've replaced with your own version of it. And then you allow people to take that and skin it however they want, make it look really cool, get rid of the border. I love the zoom 30% thing. If you allow us to do those things and the functionality is good enough for the boss fights and for the Mythic Plus fights, I think we'll be happy. But like I said, we don't know yet. So this idea of the add-ons should not have any exclusive functionality, I think it's important. I actually really agree with that. And I feel like that's something that Blizzard is going for and they're sticking with. And I appreciate it because this idea of, first of all, Nobody is going out there, I can't do any add-ons, it's too much. That's not the complicated part. The complicated part is when you get an add-on. Let's say somebody says, oh, you're having trouble healing? Just install Cell. It's a great healing add-on. Cool. I'll install Cell and that way I'll be able to heal. No, get ready for 2 days of sitting there in Dornogal or Silvermoon or wherever we're going to be trying to configure the stupid add-on to work, and it doesn't work. And you've got to join a follower dungeon, and then you try a few things out and you go, it didn't work. Then you leave the follower dungeon and you try a few more things, and it's hours of time that you're going to spend configuring these add-ons. I did it with Voodoo and I got it working exactly the way I wanted, but I hated it. I hated having that on there. I hated the forced feeling of I've got to use this or I can't heal properly. That was so frustrating to me. It's one of the reasons why I don't heal anymore. One of the reasons, not the only reason. I think the add-ons I think they've gotten out of control, and I'm really glad that Blizzard is kind of putting a stop to it. That being said, it is a little, I'm nervous about the future and how things are going to go, because I don't trust that Blizzard is going to have all the correct. No, let me rephrase that. I don't think Blizzard is going to put in all of the functionality that we think we need as players. Now, will we get to a point where we go, oh, actually, I guess I didn't need that? Maybe. Could I live in a world without a damage meter? I could. Do I like having the damage meter? Yes. And it's not just because of competitiveness, but it's also because I like to be able to know, all right, here I'm going to do my rotation. All right, that got me, I'm at 1.5 million. All right, let me try it again. Cool down, use different spells. Oh, now I'm at 2.75 million. Okay, I think I did something better this time. And that's what I like the damage meter for, is it gives you the ability to grow and improve as a player. It's not about, haha, lol, I'm top DPS, nubs. Sure, that feels good for some people. I don't really care about that. I'm not that kind of competitive. I do want to do well, though. And I don't like the idea that I'm out there busting my ass on my rotation and I'm doing it wrong, air quote wrong, and so my DPS is low. That bothers me. And I think that's probably, again, it's a symptom of having the game be too complicated. There should never be a case where you're saying, I am doing my rotation wrong. But now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm realizing that that's stupid, because even in vanilla, there was a right and a wrong way to play. You could, on a warrior, somebody says, hey, warrior's the top DPS in vanilla WoW. Cool. I'm going to go play a warrior then. You can go on a warrior and do dog shit DPS. It's easy to do terrible DPS on a warrior. You don't have enough hit. Your weapon skill isn't high enough. You're hitting heroic strike. You're spamming rend. I mean, there's so many ways to do bad DPS on a warrior. So is it likely that a damage meter is going to be kind of a necessity? Yeah, I think so. I think we need it. That way we can at least gauge, like, all right, here's where I am. It doesn't have to be a dick measuring contest. It can be hey, I want to know where I am compared to me. I don't need to compare myself to you because I don't feel that that's helpful, but I want to compare myself to me to know that I'm improving. Or, hey, I felt terrible about that last boss fight. Let me look at the damage meter. Oh yeah, look at that. I was doing a quarter of my normal damage. What happened? Oh, that's right. I was messing around with my artifact weapon from the bank and I accidentally left it equipped. Whoops. Or something, right? You don't want to be in that position where you don't know. The game is not built for that. The game does not work that way. You have to know what you're doing. So anyway, the point is add-ons, there's a lot of conversations still to be had, and we're going to do more conversations in the future about add-ons, but I do like the fact that Blizzard is trying really hard to not only just work with the add-on developers and kind of come up with a path forward, but also telling us things like, hey, we're planning to do this and we're going to add that. I like to know that, because then it's not just mystery of, do Blizzard even know that they need to put this in the game? They do know. They just haven't quite nailed it down yet. And one thing that I will say, and this is important for everyone to remember, it's one thing for an add-on developer to make something in the game where they put in some code and they go, hey, it's now tracking this piece of information. You can do that as an add-on developer because you're just copying off, or you're just basing it off of somebody else's work. It's another thing to build that into the interface of the game, because how many times have you had details bug out, or have you had things that didn't work quite the way it is? You look at your damage meter, you look at someone else's damage meter, and they're different. Blizzard can't do it that way. You can't build functionality into the game and have it be half-assed. So, and here's the other thing. Every time they update the game, that's part of it. They have to make sure that all of these things are working, because if they don't, it's going to be a big, big problem. So yeah, it requires a little bit more development, a little bit more finesse in the development than I think people who are doing this. And not to say that these aren't some brilliant developers, the people who are doing the add-ons. They're great. They're Weakers, Details, Plater, DBM, Bigwigs, all of these people are brilliant, and they're really good at what they do. That doesn't always translate well into building it into the interface. So just something to keep in mind. The final thing, and this is something I'll just throw out there as something that I heard on, I think it was on Reddit, but basically, or may have been on a video that I watched. What they're saying is they don't want to have load out-of-date add-ons. If add-ons aren't designed to work in midnight, they won't load, period. So you cannot just boot up your old add-ons and just force them into the game anyway. They're just not going to work. So I think they're drawing a hard line in the sand and saying, if you don't play ball by our rules, you cannot be here. So something to keep in mind. If you've got some old add-ons that haven't been updated in a long time, either start looking for replacements or learn how to code yourself. Because, maybe that's the answer. Learn how to code yourself. And that brings us to our sponsor, Boot.dev. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're not doing that. Okay. So the final thing that I will say before we start talking about this, this currency, which everybody's been talking about, you can check out the player housing music that's going to be playing in the neighborhood and in the housing. It's been put up onto YouTube. It's really good. It's very peaceful and calming and relaxing. It's one of those, just background music to listen to type things. It's really good. I really like it. The reason I haven't been talking a whole lot about player housing this week is because I'm going to do a whole bunch on it, but I don't want to step on the Hearthsteel conversation. So we'll talk about all of the player housing updates that have come in the beta probably next week. And so for this week, we're just going to focus on the currencies and the changes there. So let's get into what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. All right, the bonus event for this week is the War Within Dungeon event. You may have already done it since we're getting towards the end of the week, but still, you'll have the Sign of the Warrior buff. The final boss of each War Within Dungeon will drop an extra item. This only works with normal, heroic, and mythic 0. It does not work with keystones because the boss doesn't drop anything in a keystone. You can't loot in a keystone. You can only open the chest. So I've always found that to be a little odd, but it is what it is. You can pick up the quest Emissary of War from Archivist for Thrun and Dornagal to complete 4 dungeons on mythic difficulty, and you'll be rewarded with a hero track raid item. So you can do 4 mythic 0s if you want, or you can do 4 keystones, but either way, you'll get a hero track raid item, which will be really cool if you have a character who is not fully geared up. Maybe you got some champion pieces and you're like, I'm not going to get any myth track before the end of the expansion, so I might as well just get hero track and buff them out all the way. 8 slots, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But just know that, if you are planning to run Mythic Plus or do a Mythic Raid, you might not want to upgrade your hero track items all the way. So just because you don't want to use up your gilded crests on something that you might replace with a myth track piece. So the War Within Dungeon event is a good event. I like it because people are already doing Mythic Plus. So if that's something that you want to do, if you're not really feeling Legion Remix and you want to go do something fun, this could be fun. If you're not really into Keystones or you don't have a group, I would say it's probably going to be really frustrating if you try and go to pug some +2s or some +5s. sometimes you can get into a good group and you get lucky, but there's going to be a lot of people who don't normally run Keystones running the low level ones. And so it's going to be ugly, especially if you try and do it over the weekend. So I would say maybe just do some Mythic Zeros then, if you're not sure about the Keystones. You'll still get a good piece of gear. I don't know. I'm going to talk more about Mythic Plus later because I feel like that deserves a rant all on its own, but we'll get to that on another day. Okay. The PvP brawl for the week is Cooking Impossible. Nomi is hosting a Pandarin chili cook-off in the Valley of the Four Winds between the Alliance and the Horde. The first to bring Nomi all the required ingredients wins. This one's fun. I love this one. You're running around the Valley of the Four Winds. You're fighting the Alliance or fighting the Horde, trying to stop them from bringing the ingredients to Nomi, or you're bringing the ingredients yourself. It's a different. This one's very different from other PvP brawls. I really like this one. When you zone in, you will get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and that will reward you with Conquest Honor and Marks of Honor. Enjoy Cooking Impossible. This one's probably my favorite or second favorite brawl. A Comstomp is just, it's too good. All right. Well, we're going to skip the Moonkin Festival because we missed that one. So if you didn't get the Moonkin Festival this year, sorry, I didn't say anything about it because I was having technical difficulties. So maybe next year. And then finally, the last event going on is the WoW 21st anniversary event. It's World of Warcraft's anniversary. Many thanks from the WoW dev team for enjoying the world of Azeroth and beyond with us. It will start on Sunday, November 16th, and it will run through December 7th. Now, we don't know exactly what they're going to be doing. Is this going to be like past years where it was inside of the Caverns of Time? Is it going to be outside, like with the big pavilions, like it was last year? We don't know. I would expect that it's likely just going to be the regular event down inside the Caverns of Time where you ask the trivia questions and there's a couple of things, but really nothing big. I don't know. Maybe they'll do this, the big event every year now. I don't know. We will find out on Sunday. So if you are listening to this and it's Monday, you probably already know what we're doing, but yeah, there you go. That's that is the WoW 21st anniversary event, and it's only gonna run for 3 weeks. So, go check it out. I don't know if we're gonna get the tier 2 sets. I don't know if we're gonna get anything else. Typically, it's just the really, really basic transmog stuff that's available. The basic mount. There's the world bosses and the green dragons, and that's about it. So, see what it is. Go over to the Caverns of Time and check it out on Sunday, November 16th through Sunday, December 7th. And that's it for the news. All right, let's get into this microtransaction and Hearthsteel currency conversation. It's going to be fun.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
All right. This is a very delicate topic, and I want to try to avoid rubbing anyone the wrong way. And so I'm just going to state up front, all of the opinions stated here are my own. If I'm giving you information about something that happened previously or something that's going to happen, I will tell you this is, but I want to talk about this, and I want to give my opinions about not only the Hearthsteel currency that's coming in with Midnight, but microtransactions in WoW in general. So let's start off with something really basic. What is a microtransaction? Well, the dictionary definition would be a very small financial transaction conducted online. And that's about as generic as you can get. In reality, a microtransaction is anything that happens in and around a game or product. If you've ever played a mobile game, you know all about microtransactions. You're Bejeweled, any of these gem games, any word games, Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Hearthstone, Warcraft Rumble. These games all have microtransactions built into them because they're all free to play games. So the game itself costs you nothing. If you want to play it and you're enjoying it, you participate in the microtransactions. So it could be something at like, I want to try this new skin out on Fortnite. And so you pay the $5 or whatever. I don't even know how much that stuff costs. Or you go, hey, I'm building my clan castle in Clash of Clans, but I need more gems to build a cannon. Okay, you buy the gems, right? And so it goes. You pay for the game by participating in the microtransactions. You get something, you pay something. It's a straightforward transaction. And I don't dislike companies that do microtransactions. In fact, I think it's actually really good because I can play some of these games and never pay a dime. As long as I'm willing to be patient or to not have all the things. If I'm experiencing FOMO, fear of missing out, because I didn't get the Doctor Doom skin in Marvel Rivals. I don't even know what skins are available right now. I know Gambit is the new character in Marvel Rivals. My daughter was telling me about that. So yeah, I mean, I might miss out on that because I'm not buying the battle pass or whatever the weekly thing. I don't spend money on games other than WoW. If I want to buy a game, and I will occasionally buy a game, I'm going to go buy a game. I'm going to purchase this thing. Years ago, my friend gifted me Half-Life 2. This is 20 years ago. And I played it for a long time. I never bought any of the sequels, episode 1, episode 2, or whatever. So I didn't have them. And so at some point I was like, I want to go through and play all these. So I went on Steam, I bought the things that I wanted. It was like $10 or $15. Not a big deal, but I bought it so that I could play it. I didn't want to, I'm going to play it with the Alex skin on now, and I'm going to play it with the, everybody looks like a tree or what. I don't even know. I'm not doing that sort of microtransaction. I'm buying a game. I bought City Skylines. I bought Roller Coaster Tycoon. That's what I do when I buy a game. I go and I buy it. I'll probably at some point buy another game. I don't know, but I don't spend a lot of money on games. The vast majority of my gaming budget is dedicated for WoW. And that's just the way it is. So, for me, microtransactions are a thing that happens in the world that I don't really care about. I don't interact with a whole bunch. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about them because to me, I don't really care. I'll build things in my Clash of Clans building thing, my base, and I'll turn them. All right, I'm going to build this and upgrade that, and then I'll come back in 2 days, and that all right, everything's done. I don't think about it. I'm not in a hurry to get. I gotta get this leveled up fast so I can participate in the clan wars. I don't care. I don't care. So to me, microtransactions are just a thing that happens that doesn't really affect me. Now, in WoW, it's a slightly different type of environment because WoW is a game that you, one, pay for. I bought WoW back in the day. I bought it. I bought the Burning Crusade. I bought Wrath of the Lich King. I bought Cataclysm, and so on. And I pay $15 a month per account for World of Warcraft. $15, $15. That adds up fast. That's a lot of money that I've put into World of Warcraft over the years. I've actually wanted to do a calculation, and I think if you ask nicely, Blizzard will send you your original transaction log of your subscriptions of every dime that you've paid them over the years, because you can't go back all the way anymore. It doesn't allow you to go back that far, because I could go back to 2005, but I'd have to ask them. So I might one day do that just so I can get an idea of how much money have I spent on World of Warcraft over the years. I don't know that I want to know the answer to that, but it's a lot. It's well over the thousands of dollars mark. So that being said, I've spent all this money on the game, and Blizzard is very fond of their microtransactions, especially since the Activision era. I think that they have been a lot more fond of microtransactions, but well, let's get into it, because there's a few points that I wanted to hit that really demonstrate how far we've come in our microtransaction acceptance with Blizzard. So we're going to start off by going back to 2010. And I think you know where I'm going with this one. The very first store mount was released in April of 2010. It was the Celestial Steed. This was towards the end of Wrath of the Lich King. So Icecrown is already out. I don't think that Ruby Sanctum was out yet, but this is kind of where we were in terms of the timeline. It was about that point in time of the expansion life cycle. Activision already owns Blizzard at this point, so no doubt they went to Blizzard and said, hey, we need you to start selling mounts and things in the store. So they did. So we got the Celestial Steed, the original Sparkle Pony. We also have the little KT pet. It's a little Kel'Thuzad, mini Kel'Thuzad. That one wasn't as popular, but the Sparkle Pony Celestial Steed was very popular. If you know the disgraced streamer Pirate Software, he and I say disgraced streamer with my tongue in cheek, because people hate him because of the whole OnlyFans thing. But you know what? People mess up. He talks a lot about how he used to work for Blizzard. And when I say he talks a lot, he talks all the time about how he used to work for Blizzard. But anyway, he was on the StarCraft 2 team. StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. He claimed that the Celestial Steed store mount sales in April of 2010 and beyond was more profit for Blizzard than the StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty game in its entirety. That was his claim. Now, is that true? I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I kind of believe it, though. StarCraft has lost a lot of steam over the years in terms of its popularity. It's an older style of gameplay. Nobody really does the real-time strategy anymore. It's still around, and there are still games that do it, but it's not a big genre like it used to be. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the Sparkle Pony was $25 when it first came out. I think it's now, or when they took it off the store, a couple of years ago, and it was $15 at that point, but still. And by the way, I know that people listen to this show from other countries. I'm in America. I don't know the conversion rates on all these different currencies. Everything's going to be in dollars. I'm sorry. I don't know how to, I know euros. I know it goes like dollars, and then euros are worth more than dollars, and then pounds are worth more than euros. That's all I know. I don't know what the numbers are. So when I say $25 or $25, that's what I'm referring to. I don't know how to convert any other currency, let alone something like the Australian dollar or the Canadian dollar, or the yen or anything else like that. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm a dumb American. You can shame me now. I'll accept that. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, Sparkle Pony, it was a big deal. And it was such a big deal that, I mean, people were threatening to quit the game over it. And of course they didn't. It was, maybe some did. There was a decline in subscriptions after that, but we also had Cataclysm. So is it related? I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit of both, but regardless, a lot of people bought the Sparkle Pony. A lot of people still have the Sparkle Pony. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone using it, because it is kind of bad looking compared to modern day mounts, but still it was a big deal at the time. All right, let's move forward a few years. In 2014, before the launch of Warlords of Draenor, Blizzard realized that the prospect of leveling a brand new account, a brand new character with no alt or nothing. This is your very first character in World of Warcraft. You're going to level this character. You're going to go from 1 to 100. That's daunting. And even if you reduce the amount of XP, it just looks like a lot, because you're going from a single digit number to a triple digit number. That's scary to people. So Blizzard, sensing an opportunity to make some money, offered the character level boost, which was $60. This was February of 2014. So less than 4 years after the Sparkle Pony. And by this point, we already have several mounts on the store that you can purchase. Blizzard has slowly been adding them in at this point. But the character level boost was a big deal because if you buy a horse on the store or a pet or anything like that, it's just cosmetic. It doesn't do anything. This, however, felt different because it felt like a pay to win. And in a lot of ways it was, because you're basically skipping all of that previous stuff. And while you're not getting the end game loot that you would think of when you think of pay to win. When I think of pay to win, I think of, oh, well, I'm going to go and I'll get all the mythic loot and I'll get, all the myth track, this and that. To me, that's pay to win. But this was basically pay to skip. You're basically paying to skip the game so you can get to the current content, which was Warlords of Draenor, and you're going to not have to do any of the previous stuff. It was a smart move from a marketing standpoint because it basically tried to bring in new players at a time when Blizzard was hemorrhaging subscriptions. But I think it was very poorly received by the player base. I'm sure a lot of people bought the boost over the years. I have boosts and I've used them, but I have boosts still from when I buy an expansion, you get a boost. I have boosts that are just sitting there because I don't like boosting characters. I want to go level a character. It takes you an afternoon. If you're really trying and just doing whatever it is that you're doing, especially if it's time walking week, it'll take you an afternoon to get from 1 to 80 right now. Even faster if you're doing it on Remix. But to me, the character level boost was always a little weird. But some people really liked it, and some people really hated the idea of it because that allowed you to skip the game, basically. So, I mean, Blizzard had services on there. You could transfer a character, you could change a character's name, you could change a character's gender, change their race. I don't know when faction transfer was on there. I was looking for that, but regardless, all of these character services were available pretty much since the beginning. I would say towards the end of vanilla, a lot of these services came online. And I know that you could transfer in vanilla because I transferred characters. I transferred 3 characters from my original server, which was Lothar, to my new server, which was Moonrunner. And yeah, it was like $25 per character. So yeah, it was a lot. I had 360s, so I just transferred them all. But anyway, yeah, the character level boost was a big deal. That was 2014, right at the beginning of Warlords of Draenor. Now, Warlords of Draenor gets a lot of flack for its lack of content, but it certainly did not have a lack of microtransactions because in the middle of Warlords of Draenor, this is patch 6.1.2. So this is March 2015. The WoW token is released. Now, for years, purchasing gold was a big deal on World of Warcraft. You would go to some sketchy websites that was partially in English, partially in Chinese or in, whatever. And you would give them your credit card because why wouldn't you? And you would get some gold in World of Warcraft. And I think a lot of people have bought gold over the years. I did buy gold back in vanilla. I will admit it. I did. I bought gold. I wanted to buy my wife a glowing brightwood staff because that's the staff she wanted. And so I went and I bought the gold and then I bought the staff off of the auction house and I gave it to her and she was a happy woman. So was it a bad thing for me to buy gold? Yes. Would I do it again in that circumstance? Yeah, I probably would. I'm not going to lie. I probably would. But at this point, I don't have to worry about that because there's a WoW token. And don't get me started on vanilla, like anniversary or anything. It's like buying gold and that is insane. Anyway, so the WoW token allowed you to purchase a item for $20 that you could then turn around get in game and put it on the auction house and sell it for gold. And then if you reverse that transaction, somebody who has no dollars could buy a WoW token off of the auction house for gold and then redeem that for 30 days of game time. So one of the things that made the WoW token so controversial when it first came out, and now nobody cares, but at the time it was a big deal, is that for $15, I get 30 days of game time. Or I spend $20 and I get gold. Somebody else spends gold and they get 30 days of game time. And so there's a $5 profit there for Blizzard that is just purely profit. They're already making money off of your subscription. So they added on an extra $5 for you to get this WoW token. And I think that didn't sit right with a lot of people. And I get it, because there's this whole narrative of, oh, Blizzard is so greedy. And I do understand that. But regardless, WoW token, March 2015 is when it showed up. And I don't think the game has ever been the same since. I think the original amount that you were getting for the WoW token was like 30,000 gold. And now it's like 300,000 gold. That's crazy how much inflation has happened in the game. Anyway, all right. After that, there were many microtransactions added to the store in different ways. Toys, pets, mounts. I don't remember when the first transmog was. I forgot to look that up. Anyway, doesn't matter. The next big thing that was added was something hugely controversial. This was the Dark Portal Pass in Burning Crusade Classic. Now, the reason that this one is so controversial is because it included a character boost for $40. So you could boost a character from 1 to 60. And it gave you a mount that you could use in the Burning Crusade. And it also gave you a mount that you could use in Modern WoW. Whatever version, 2021. So that was probably Battle for Azeroth. Or Shadowlands. Sorry, it was Shadowlands. So the Dark Portal Pass. And it was a big deal because people were very opposed to the idea of a boost in Classic. So if you leveled up a character in Classic from 1 to 60, you know how long that takes, how hard it is, the amount of time and effort that goes into leveling a character from 1 to 60. Even when the Burning Crusade came out and they reduced the amount of XP you needed, it was still a lot. Going from 1 to 60 in TBC took forever. And it was worse because there was nobody around. So you're trying to get a group to go do a dungeon. It might take you an hour to find a group because everybody's doing the Burning Crusade content. Everyone's over in Outland. So the Dark Portal Pass was released. Blizzard was able to use that to generate... I don't know. Here's the thing. They said, okay, you can only buy it once. So it's one boost per account. And so it's not like you can just boost a million characters. I get that, but at the same time, it really created a lot of problems. It generated so many farming alts for gold farmers, bots. You're up to 60 right there. It's fast. For $40, yeah, they'll take that. So yeah, it was really unfortunate that it went over the way that it did. The biggest problem with it was that you got a mount that you could use. It was one of those, I can't even think of the name of the animal in Burning Crusade. Regardless, that was the whole Asmongold spit fiasco. What Asmongold said on his stream is that if you see somebody with this mount, you should slash spit on them because we hate people who bought this Dark Portal Pass. And Blizzard's response to that, because people were doing it, people were going and actually spitting at whoever they saw on that mount. Blizzard removed the slash spit emotion or emote from the game. It's gone. You can't do it anymore. What good is a battleground if I can't spit on the filthy horde? Or the horde can't spit on the filthy alliance? What is the point? Anyway, I mean, this is something we've been doing for years. It took, 15 years, 16 years, whatever that is, 17 years for them to realize, oh, that's too rude and we're going to take it out. No, they took it out because they were embarrassed. They didn't want the people who spent $40 on a mount to feel bad, so they removed the slash spit emote from the game. Oh, Blizzard. There's good ways to handle things, and there's the Blizzard way. So, around the same time, and this wasn't, I guess it's technically a microtransaction, there was the whole character copy thing from going from vanilla to TBC in Classic, and that caused a whole other level of controversy because it was expensive for a character copy. So what happened was, if you wanted to stay in Classic and you would basically just live on Classic era servers, you could do that. If you wanted to go to Burning Crusade, you could do that. But if you wanted to go to Burning Crusade and have a copy of your character saved on the Classic server, it was $35. And people were not happy about that one either. It was around the same time as the Dark Portal Pass, actually. So yeah, that one was rough. They eventually lowered it to $15, but still, that's a lot of money for what is essentially a glorified database copy. I don't know. I mean, there's some IT stuff behind it that, we could get into some details of it, but the reality is it seemed a little greedy on Blizzard's part. I'm just going to say it seemed a little greedy. So I get you want to prevent everyone from just saying, yes, go ahead and copy my character, but it could have been $5. It could have been $5 and everyone would have been like, all right, that makes sense. I can see that. That's the same amount of money that we're giving Blizzard for the WoW token. No, $35 is a WoW token plus another $15 for the subscription. That's insane that they felt like that's what they were going to charge people. So that was a rough time in Classic. 2021 was still, a lot of people were still in lockdown at that point. So maybe they were having, they were losing their minds or something. All right. So we're continuing on with the Classic theme here. In 2023, Blizzard, in an effort to combat the rampant gold selling on the Classic servers, this is Wrath of the Lich King era, decided they were going to release the WoW Token Classic version. We didn't even get to Warlords of Draenor. This time they just dropped it in Wrath. They said, you know what? Fine. Here's the WoW token, $20 and you get whatever gold. I don't even know what it goes for now on the MOP servers, but it's the same price, $20. So you're still losing the $5 on the transaction. I understand why they put the WoW token in the game. I do, because it's not as easy as you might think to track down and eliminate bots. With that being said, I think they could still do a better job. They could put more effort into it, but that requires money. And so thus the WoW token. So I guess from a microtransaction standpoint, this one's not a huge deal. People were buying gold anyway. And honestly, anybody out there who says they miss GDKPs and Blizzard should put GDKPs back in the game, I'm sorry. I don't care if you personally didn't buy gold. Somebody involved in that did. And so there is no way you can convince me that GDKPs were not a funnel for gold buying and gold selling. It was literally built on that principle. If you didn't have gold buying and gold selling, if Blizzard suddenly made it so it was impossible for you to sell gold in WoW, if like they flipped a magic switch and you can't do it and there's no WoW token and you just have to go out and earn gold yourself, GDKPs, you'd have been earning 50 gold at the end of a GDKP, 100 gold maybe, not the 5,000 gold that people were getting towards the end of Classic in 2021. So, that's another conversation for another day. I have a lot of these and I just keep pushing out. I was like, I don't want to go through this whole thing right now, but yeah, it was a big deal. And unfortunately, there's so much gold selling and gold buying on the anniversary servers. And we've already seen the data mined WoW token on TBC anniversary. So, I guess that's Blizzard's favorite solution to the gold buying. All right, let's move forward to a completely not controversial at all store mount that was added in October of 2024. Of course, I'm talking about the famous Brutosaur $90 mount. Wow, were people upset about this one? And rightly so. $90 is a lot of money. And the fact that it's an auction house mount that Blizzard essentially said at the end of BFA, this mount is going away at the end of Battle for Azeroth. So people scrambled. They bought WoW tokens. They put all of their time and all of their effort into making sure they got the Longboy. And then 3 years later, Blizzard was like, oh, and here's one in the store you could buy for cash. For way less cash than it would have cost you to buy the Brutosaur back in the day. So, and I bought 2 of them. I did. I'm not going to lie. I bought 2. And I've said it before on the show. I bought 2 Brutosaurs. It is what it is. I love them. I use them all the time. I'm glad Blizzard added them to the game, but I understand that it was a lot of controversy around it and people felt betrayed. I get it. And not only that, it was better than the original Brutosaur, because the original Brutosaur had an auction house and a repair vendor. This new one that you buy for $90 had a mailbox, which made it tremendously more important and useful. So, yeah, I can see how this is problematic and why people were upset. So sorry, I did buy 2, one for each account. I actually bought 3 because I bought one for my wife too. It is what it is. And I did a whole episode about the Brutosaur last year, and I don't know what else to say about that one. It was a big deal, and there was a data mine. Somebody saw a data mine that it was coming back, and I thought, oh boy, if that comes back, it's going to cause a whole new round of upset. No, I guess it was just for China, so whew, dodged that bullet. Nothing on the store to make us upset. Oh. So that brings us to Hearthsteel. Now, all of these microtransactions that I've listed out so far, and the hundreds more that are out there, toys, pets, mounts, all of transmog gear, or not gear, transmog appearances. Let's be very clear. They're not selling gear in the store. There was even a purchase that you could get that had Trader's Tendies on it, which they quickly removed, and they said, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're just going to save that for the expansion pre-purchases. So, yeah. Hearthsteel is a whole new ballgame. And the reason that this is such a big deal is because if I go onto the store right now and I say, I want to buy this cool mount, and it's going to say, okay, that's $15. I'm going to swipe my credit card on Blizzard. And when I say swipe, I'm using that metaphorically. Of course, I'm just punching in the numbers. And of course, I'm kidding. I just give them my PayPal info. But the reality is, if I wanted to buy a mount, I would just go and I would pay the money and I'm done. What Blizzard has done with Hearthsteel, and for those of you who maybe haven't heard yet, and for somehow you were not aware, Hearthsteel is a new currency that will be used to purchase items for housing. So you buy Hearthsteel with real money, and then you buy housing items with Hearthsteel, which sounds pretty straightforward, and Blizzard tried to make it sound like it was really straightforward. The problem with it is that purchasing currencies with real money to then use to purchase other things is problematic on a few levels. And I'm trying to do this very neutrally, or very matter-of-factly. If I'm buying a currency to buy an item, it's like when you go to Disneyland and you used to be able to, I don't know if you still can, you used to be able to buy Disney dollars. Now, Disney dollars were a 1-to-1 conversion. So I could go to Disneyland, I could buy Disney dollars, and then I could use those Disney dollars to buy something at the restaurant or something at the gift shop or whatever. It wasn't a big deal. It was really more of a way to give somebody a gift. Like, hey, here's 50 Disney dollars. I know you love Disneyland, right? It feels different than giving somebody just $50 in cash. Right? That's why we buy gift cards, because we go, wow, I don't want to look like I'm lazy and I just gave you cash. So I'm going to buy you a gift card to Williams-Sonoma. And you go, wow, thanks. $50 at Williams-Sonoma. I can get like one mini frying pan, you know? I once gave my daughter a $100 Amazon gift card, and man, she used that. She got her money's worth on that one. Anyway, but it's the same idea, right? It's like, I don't want to just hand over, here's money, because it doesn't feel like a gift then. It feels like it's gonna disappear into your wallet and you're gonna spend it without thinking about it. You're not gonna use that gift card and think of me when you use it. You're like, oh man, that's the gift card Dad gave me. That was so nice. No, once it's cash, you're not even gonna think about it. So I do understand the idea of purchasing currency with currency, right? I get it. But those are all 1-to-1 transactions. Hearthsteel isn't a real currency. And when we buy things on the store, we're not going to be spending them with real currency, right? If I bought $10, if I spent $10 and that gave me 10 Hearthsteel, and items on the store cost $1 equivalent of Hearthsteel, I could kind of get behind that. But that's not the way it's going to work. It's going to be one of these weird microtransaction currency exchanges where you go, all right, well, you can buy 500 Hearthsteel for $5, 1,000 Hearthsteel for $9, or 2,000 Hearthsteel for $15. And so you go, well, I might as well buy the 2,000, because if I don't, I'm basically losing money on any of these other transactions, right? And so it encourages you to spend more than maybe you were willing to do. The other problem with a currency like this is that if you buy something in a fixed amount, then that's what you have. It doesn't matter. You can't do anything else with it. You can't spend that money for, I'm going to use Hearthsteel to buy the new expansion. No, it's not your BattleNet balance. It's literally just Hearthsteel. So it's only for housing items. So if I buy 1,000 Hearthsteel and I have an item that I want to buy and it costs 800 Hearthsteel, so I buy that item. Now I have 200 left, and there's 2 things in the store that I can afford or that I can buy that are 200 Hearthsteel, and I don't want either of them. So now I have this wasted currency that it's just sitting there. So what do? Well, there's this really cool thing for 500. So I'll buy some more Hearthsteel so I can see where this is going, right? It's a cycle. Now you're just invested in buying Hearthsteel because you got to match up your amounts. It's like when you gamble. If you go to Las Vegas and you're gambling and you're like, well, I've made my money back, but I mean, maybe I should make enough to pay for the hotel. And so now you keep gambling and you go, oh man, I should win enough so that we can get a nice steak dinner. So you keep gambling. Pretty soon you're going to lose everything because that's the way it works. The casino has the odds. So, yeah, it's not a good situation. It's not a good, I don't like it. I don't have a problem with buying housing items in the store. I really don't. I think that that's actually a good thing because you can put some premium items on there. People can buy them if they want, or they don't have to. The problem is, and this is something that Taliesin pointed out in his video that he did last week, the housing items that we buy are one item. You're not unlocking a housing appearance. If you go to a vendor in-game and you spend 50 gold on a chair, you're literally buying one chair. You're not buying the chair appearance for your house. No. If you want 4 chairs, you have to go to that vendor and buy 4 chairs. Then you can go place those 4 chairs in your house. And then if you realize, I need a 5th chair, you have to go back to the vendor, buy a 5th chair, go back to your house and put it in. So if we're talking about a premium currency to buy premium items on the store, and it's a really cool table and chair set, are you going to have to buy it 4 times to get those chairs? That seems even worse to me because that's bordering on predatory. Oh, you only got 1 chair with your Hearthsteel. Maybe you should buy 3 more to finish up your set. And don't forget the matching table runner and the matching cushions and the... See where I'm going with this? It's not a good look for Blizzard. It looks like greed. And it's not straight up greed, right? It's not like Ian Hazzikostas is sitting there counting his Hearthsteel money, right? That's not the way this works. Blizzard is a division of Microsoft Gaming, right? Just like Xbox is a division of Microsoft Gaming. Phil Spencer is in charge of all of Microsoft Gaming. Phil Spencer reports directly to Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. Okay, so we have a line straight through. Now, the CFO for Microsoft, the top CEO, like the full CEO, not the CEO or the CFO of Blizzard or the CFO of Xbox. No, we're talking about the CFO of full Microsoft. She put out a mandate for different divisions that they need to increase their profit margin. And Microsoft Gaming was one of those divisions where they need to increase their profit margin to 30%. Now, I talked about this a few weeks ago, and Xbox in particular had been doing around 9 to 10 or so % of profit margin. So the idea is you need to increase that, and your profit margin is how much profit you're making after here's how much money you made, here's what your expenses were. That's what your profit is, and the percentage of that is your profit margin on a very generic level. There's a lot more nuance to it than that, but just to understand, here's how much you made, here's how much you spent, here's your profit. So when these departments or these divisions of Microsoft get these mandates, they can't exactly just say, nah, it's too hard. You just got to do it. Because the correct response from management, upper management, if you say, hey, that's going to be too hard for my people to do that, they're going to say, okay, well, we'll find somebody else who can do that. And they get rid of you and they bring in someone else. And so that's why we've been seeing so many layoffs with Microsoft and Xbox and Microsoft Gaming, Blizzard, all of these different divisions. They've been getting layoffs because when you are making a product in a video game studio, it takes a lot of work. It takes years of development and testing. And I know people complain, oh, Blizzard doesn't have any testers. They do have testers. They're just not super thorough when it comes to testing the player experience. They have to test the game from a functionality standpoint. Does the game work on its core level? Yeah, players are always going to find extra things that the testers didn't think to test. Trust me, as somebody who works in IT, I know that all too well. I'm like, oh, I tested everything, all the app works perfectly. And then the users like, yeah, but if I use Microsoft Excel 97 and I'm on Windows 98, then it doesn't work. Like, well, why would I test that? Anyway, you get the idea. All right, there's a lot of testing that goes on, but I do understand that it seems like Blizzard doesn't test anything these days. I get it. So development is long. Development is hard. When you are developing a video game, it takes you a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that effort requires money because you have to pay people. It's their job to do these things. And so not only are you paying for testing, you're paying for the development, you're paying for, you have to hire somebody to do all the art assets. Maybe you send it out to your art team. Maybe you bring somebody in to do that. You got to do the music. You got to do the voice work. There's a lot that goes into a game. And so the profit margins on video games are low. How do you increase your profit margins? Well, you could reduce staff and say, well, we're going to test less. We'll let the players test it. We're going to call it a beta, but we're going to have the players do all the testing for us. That's one way to do it. You could do that. Another way that you could do it is with microtransactions. And if you think about it here, and I don't know the exact details on how hard it is to, say, make a sparkle pony or make a Brutosaur mount. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. But if I were to say, hey, if we all as a player base got together and said, all right, well, we're gonna buy these mounts, right, to increase the profit margin, then Blizzard isn't going to have to fire anyone, right? Well, not exactly. That's not how it works. See, each of these divisions has departments, and each department has a cost center. Some cost centers are purely cost centers, some are profit centers. So, for example, if you have, I work in IT. IT is a cost center. We only cost the company money. We don't make the company any money at all. We help other departments and divisions make money. We help them, but we ourselves don't make any money. We are purely a cost for the company. And so it is in their best interest to keep that cost as low as possible. And so when you make money off of a microtransaction, where does that money go? Whose pocket does that go into? That doesn't go to IT because we didn't make the Sparkle Pony or whatever the mount is, the Brutosaur. So who gets that money? Who gets credit for it? Well, that's a really gray area right now. And part of the problem is that all of these departments that we have been seeing, or that we have seen trimmed at Blizzard, have been from mostly cost centers. There's a few development teams that have been let go. And mostly that's because, if you're familiar with the sunken cost fallacy, the idea is if you've already put this much money into something, you should just finish it up because you've already put that much money into it. You might as well get it done. When companies are cutting costs, a lot of times they don't care about that sort of thing. They just go, this is taken way too long. We're not close to a release. We're cutting the entire team. And that's just how it goes. Or you get a game like Warcraft Rumble and they go, yeah, we're going to stop development on this because it's not making as much money as we hoped. It's not as popular as we wanted it to be. We're not making as much on the microtransactions, whatever it is, we're going to cut that team. But for the most part, QA testing is a perfect example of that. QA testing is a cost center. It only costs you money to have QA testers. There's no part of QA testing where you're like, well, the QA team made $1 million last year. No, they make $0. Okay. Like I said, they're helping other parts of the company to function, but they themselves are purely cost. And so when companies come in and when the accountants and the bean counters, or however you want to refer to the money people, When they come in and they look at these costs, they go, well, we can trim a little here and a little here and a little here and a little here. Get rid of this department entirely and we can outsource it, and we can get rid of that department entirely. We don't need it anymore. That's what they do. So where does the money for the mounts go? Where do the microtransaction dollars go? That's a really good question. I wish I had an answer to that, because I've looked and I can't find a answer to it, because it's private company information. Every company handles it differently. But usually there's some sort of a cost and a profit increase that can get added to that pool. It's not like they just go through and they count all their money at once and go, well, here's how much money Blizzard made. Each department has to show how much money they spent and how much money they earned. And some departments earn nothing. Like I said, they're cost centers. So the whole thing is a little clunky. And that's why I think a lot of people really don't like microtransactions, because it doesn't have if you're spending money on microtransactions, it's not like Blizzard is going to make better games. It's not like Blizzard is going to hire more developers. It's not like Blizzard is going to hire QA testers. That money just goes off into the nether somewhere. And at the end of the day, when there's a report and Phil Spencer is reporting up to the C-suite management at Microsoft, he can say, yeah, we're at this % profit margin. And maybe it's because of microtransactions and maybe because of other things, but he can say that. But you can't trace that back to, this is going to make Blizzard a better company. And that, to me, is the core of why microtransactions are so problematic for any company. Whether it's a mobile game that's free to play or a game like World of Warcraft that you're paying multiple times already for, microtransactions don't really help anyone keep their job. Even the person that designed the microtransaction themselves. You built a Sparkle Pony and it took you 3 weeks, and you did all the textures and somebody else did the framework and all of these different components. You put them all together. Somebody did the animations and the sound effects. And if you put all that together, maybe it was a month's worth of work. I don't know. Do you think those people were now protected because the Sparkle Pony made more money than StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty? No, I guarantee you they weren't. Now, maybe they didn't get fired, but that's not like they're getting, hope you're safe now because you did this thing. No, it's not the way it works. You could do something that makes the company millions of dollars and get fired the next day. That's just how it goes. And so it's no wonder that people hate microtransactions so much. Because if Blizzard puts in all the effort to design a new game, and we all buy that new game because it looks awesome, that makes the company better, because they go, we developed a product, our whole team worked on it, everyone from IT to the sound people, to the artists, to the voiceover people, to the marketing team. We all worked on this, and we all are going to feel the benefit of it because it's going to improve a microtransaction doesn't do that. It doesn't give you that uplift. It just makes money. It just increases the profit for the company, and that's it. And it stinks. So, do I like microtransactions? Well, no, not really. Am I going to continue to pay for them? Probably. Because the reason that they are still being used is because they're successful. They make the company money, people buy them, and it works. And it's just for the same reason that, I might still go to Starbucks even though they're having labor difficulties. Or I might still go to Home Depot even though they're encouraging ice raids. It doesn't matter. I am going to make my purchasing decisions based off of what I do. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that I like maybe the way that companies are behaving. I am old enough to recognize that unless you can get the entire country to back you on a protest, it's not going to work. It's one person here, don't go to Starbucks today. Well, you're going to go tomorrow. You think that's going to bankrupt the company just because we said don't go this one day or don't go this 1 week? It's not going to make a difference. I can tell you that it's not going to make a difference. So unfortunately, I know that's a little defeatist, but it's the reality and we all have to accept it. So if we really don't want Blizzard to do microtransactions, what recourse do we have? Because I can tell you guys and then somebody else can say something, but there's still going to be thousands, hundreds of thousands of people out there that are gonna buy all the housing items. They're gonna buy the next Brutosaur mount. They're gonna buy the next, whatever it is. And unfortunately, that's just the reality we live in. So, I didn't mean for this to get so depressing. I'm sorry. As I was talking, I was like, man, this just sucks. I love World of Warcraft, and I love a lot of the Blizzard products that they've put out over the years, and I'm really happy with them. And I will continue playing those games and paying Blizzard money for those things. That doesn't mean I love the way they're doing the microtransactions. If I'm being honest, I'll buy something if it's cool or if it's useful for me. I don't need any of these housing items. I'll probably never buy Hearthsteel. I probably won't. In all honesty, interacting with housing on the beta has really turned me off to it because it's not good right now. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe they'll improve it. Just having to go buy extra windows stinks. You go and you put your windows and then you change the room layout and you're like, I need 2 more windows. And you go back out to the window vendor, buy 2 more windows. I don't love housing right now. I'm going to give it some time. I'll let it settle and see if Blizzard can smooth some of these things out, make them work a little bit better. But as of right now, I'm not really loving the housing. I'm much more excited about the midnight change to add-ons and combat simplicity. I'm really excited about that. So hopefully that's going to be the focus of things going forward, and we're not going to really worry about housing too much. So I guess we'll see. I guess that's the long and the short answer is, I guess we'll see. So like I said, sorry for getting a little defeatist here, but it's 2025 and this is the world in which we live. So I don't think that there's a good answer to it because people are always going to buy things. The microtransactions are not going away. So now, the one thing I will say for Blizzard's credit, and we'll try to end this on a positive, they have never done, and it seems like they are pretty resolute on this, that they will never add in any sort of loot box type thing into the game. I'm hoping that they stick with that. I'm hoping that Microsoft doesn't say, hey, we need to increase our profit margins to 35%. Better add some loot boxes. I know that loot boxes are illegal in Europe, but regardless, that sort of thing, if they started putting stuff on the store with gear and items with stats, I would have a problem with it. It seems so far like they are pretty adamant against that sort of thing. So at least we'll give them credit for that. But I'm not thrilled. Hearthsteel can fuck right off as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, yeah, I think that's going to wrap up the show. Like I said, I don't want to end on a sour note, and I am really excited about Midnight. I'm really happy with Blizzard right now in terms of the product that they've been putting up for the game. Housing is kind of a side thing. It's a mini game, and some people are going to really love it and interact with it in a really good way, and some people aren't, and that's fine. I'm probably going to do some basic stuff, and that'll be that. I'm not going to do any of these big elaborate houses that people have been posting online. I just don't. No, I'm too basic for that. So, but yeah, Midnight looks really cool. The beta so far is great. I did have to go ahead and buy or pre-purchase the Midnight so I could get on the beta, because I'm like, I need to get on here and start testing this stuff because I have no idea what I'm talking about half the time. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I was going to buy it anyway. It's just I wasn't going to buy it that day, but I was like, well, the beta is about to launch tomorrow. I better buy this right now. So I did. Anyway, yeah, and I think we'll wrap this up there. There's a lot of conversations that I've pushed out to a future date, and I will be talking about some of these things down the road. And I'm probably going to try and get some people on to talk about them. Maybe do some town hall things. So here's the deal. I did an interview with one of our longtime listeners and Patreon members in Discord members, Graybeard. It was a great interview. I really had a great time talking to him and getting through all of that. The entire thing got trashed. The sound was completely unusable. Only my sound came through. His sound did not show up on the recording at all. I couldn't salvage anything. So I had to scrap the entire interview, which sucked. At some point, I'm going to sit down with Greybeard again because he's a really interesting guy, and I'll love to sit down and go through all that stuff again. It might be a little awkward because we're going to be talking about things that we've already talked about, but it's okay. We'll get it out there. But right now, I'm working through some sound-related issues on my setup. I'm using OBS and I'm using Discord to do all my recordings. I don't like that setup. And if I'm going to pay for something, it's going to be like $30 a month. So that's a little pricey for what I want to do. So I don't know. I'm looking at solutions. I'm looking at some alternatives, and I will get those going soon. But as of right now, I can't really do anything remote interview type of thing. And I really want to, but I can't. So until I get the sound technical issues figured out, I'm going to put all that stuff on hold. Hopefully, I'm testing out Riverside right now, riverside.fm, which is great. But like I said, it's $30 a month, which is hella pricey. And then aside from that, there's a couple of other options, but they're all pretty expensive to pay for. There is one free option, but it's, I want to be really careful not to try to create an overly complicated solution, which is going to make things more difficult. I don't want to get in the situation again where I lose recording, because I feel like you lose some of your creative magic when you do that. So anyway, all right. That's going to end the show. So thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to go on this microphone and speak to you. If you are enjoying the podcast and you would like to help us out, you maybe want to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That would really, really, really help out our distribution. It means a lot. That particular thing, putting in the ratings in there, means a lot. If you want to leave a review or a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I will read those on the air, and we can have a lot of fun with that. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and leave a review. It'll be fun. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can help us out by giving us a like and a comment and a subscribe. Those all help us out too. The YouTube numbers have been all over the place. I don't know if people are watching this on YouTube or not. I can't tell. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and shout out. Just leave an emoji in the comments or something, just so I know people are actually watching and it's not these weird bots watching videos or something. That would be cool. And that's about it. So the other way you can help us out, if you are interested in doing so, is you could consider joining our Patreon. Patreon is where we have people who are giving their IRL money to help with the production of the show. We have 3 different tiers of patrons. We have our free tier, we have our standard tier, and then we've got our friend of the show tier. And I'd like to thank our friend of the show patrons now. That is Judge Omni, Stuglife, Theliel, Greybeard, and Raven. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. You guys are awesome. And that's it. That's the whole show. So remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real person on the other side of the keyboard. And just because they like microtransactions doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means they like cool stuff. It's the evil companies that are to blame. All right. Just be nice and smile, and it's okay. You don't need to slash spit on people just because they bought a cool mount. All right. Take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.